Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hack Hunter, episode 9, coming right up. We went all the way out to Delaware to help a father find a quality artist for his son's first tattoo. So stick around, guys. You're going to want to see who we found. Sit back, relax. Let's find some hacks. Our lead today comes from a guy named Chuck. Now, Chuck wrote, "Dear Hack Hunter, I've been watching your show and I definitely learned how to pick out a good tattoo artist. But I'm trying to find a local artist that I trust to do my son's first tattoo. And I'm having a hard time finding anyone that I like around here. I did, however, find an artist that you'd probably want to know about." Chuck, thanks for writing in so much. Let's start by saying that you weren't kidding. I had a super hard time finding someone that I could seriously recommend around there. However, in the end, we did find a rock star tattooer that you're going to love. But first, let's check out the artist that you found for us. Let's break it down. Alright, here we go. Kicking it off with this guy. Matt Green is who Chuck wanted us to check out, and for some reason I could not find a picture of this dude anywhere. Couldn't find his Facebook, couldn't find a picture on the website, none of that. So, sorry ahead of time, guys. This is the only peek you get at him. He is working at Explosive Tattoo. You can find them at explosivetattoo.com, and check out his Instagram at MattGValhalla. Now, right off the bat, I started with this one because it's not too bad. I see some clean lines in here, and I see some clean shading and everything, so it's nothing, nothing too horrible to harp about. I do see some redness in here. He obviously beat up the skin a little bit when he was shading, especially in the tusks here. It's like he was trying to do some soft gray, and it just didn't work out, just beat up the skin a little bit too much. But it was a little confusing. He used dark shadows under here on the belly, which is correct, but he didn't use them like under the chin or under the ear or behind the leg here. So, to me, maybe just, could have took a little bit more time and planned out where his shadows went. But the main thing in this that I wanted to show is this sunflower. To me, that just looks really, kind of lazy, if I'm being honest. It's weird. He did some dark blending on the leaves, so it goes from dark to light green. But with these yellow petals here, it's just nothing. Just straight up yellow. And again, I think that's just sort of the quick way to do it, but there would be a shadow where each of these petals blends in right here. And I think he knows that. I think he purposely just didn't take the time to do it, so it kind of ends up looking really flat. You can also see these red patches in the yellow here, which means he definitely overworked the skin a little bit on this particular one, so it's hard to say how that yellow is going to heal, if it'll stay nice and bright or not. But moving on, this one. This one is one that I had real problems with when I saw it. I think Chuck was right to point Matt out to us because the main thing that I see over and over in his portfolio was a lot of just missing lines. Right there. Gap in the line. Gap in the line. Light lines right here. Like missing lines right here. Missing lines there. Like just so many missing lines. I don't understand why he doesn't just connect the lines. It's like, I know he's capable of doing it, but I would say that maybe this is like his artistic styling involved, like he's choosing not to connect those lines, but ultimately, I don't know. It doesn't add anything to the piece. It doesn't look better. It sort of just looks a little worse. Another thing I saw throughout a lot of his work is really simple leaves. There was a lot of flowers to go through, and most of these leaves were just super simple like this, with dark shading in the middle, blending outward. No light grays, no nothing like that, just dark black blending outward. And the background here, too, you see this white edge where the background didn't come up to the rose. Again, I'm not sure. Maybe he just has a hard time figuring out where his needle tips are, having a hard time finding depth, having a hard time retaining that depth of his needles every time, but it's just not working out for some reason. And I'm just seeing a lot of kind of messy work. That the weird thing is I see good work from him too in the past, and so it's strange that some of his most recent work is stuff like this, where you can see these obvious line errors where he doubled over and tried to fix the line, or these places where he just missed lines or completely skipped them. This makes no sense. The one in the forehead here, it looks like that doesn't look intentional to me. That looks like he accidentally did that. But the wings here, very, very shaky lines on the outer edge here, and if you zoom in, you can really see that he really doubled or even tripled over this to try to make a nice smooth line, because it just does not come out clean. It comes out kind of jagged and dotty there, and a lot of shakes in these nice smooth lines. So it's just sort of strange, some of these pieces. You can just see that there's a lot of line errors and a lot of shakes. It's just not smooth, and especially for a guy where he's been tattooing at least since 2013. His work goes back really, really far. But then there's just stuff like this, where again, missing lines here. These thorns right here don't come up to the point for some reason. I just don't understand it. I'm not sure. It seemed like he was working around some other decent artists too, so I don't know if they're just not helping him or if he's just not getting a grip on it, but I just saw a lot of the exact same errors over and over again, and to me, overall, it just looks like a little bit of laziness. Like he's got to take his time, give his customers a little bit more for their money. Here's an octopus piece where I don't like the blending of the gray wash background and the color foreground here. You can do that in some regards, but in this case, the gray wash is going to heal a lot lighter, like the stuff up here that's already healed, you can see. The gray wash is going to heal like that, and the color is going to heal brighter. So it's just really not going to match, and I only recommend artists do that with a really intentional perspective. You got to really pick and choose where you're blending when you're blending black and gray and color together. I do give him a little bit of credit. He did some texturing in this octopus here, and that looks cool. But where he really missed the mark was on these tentacles coming out of the water, and especially on these suction cups. Look at this, just a floating suction cup right there. What is that? And then you just see him floating there on the edge, and you just kind of colored him blue. Some places he did an outer edge so that you can see that that's like a complete tentacle there, but a lot of them are just floating around, a lot of floating suction cups. Here's another angle of the same one. And yeah, just really kind of incomplete and messy, and I'm not sure why he did that. It looks like it could have been a really great piece, but again, you just got a lot of lines that are missing and a lot of just random suction cups popping out on the sides here. I'm not really sure why he did it this way. It could have been a great piece, and from a distance it does look good, but I know certain things like this texturing he did right here with black and gray, that's really not going to heal nice and look like water in the end, or like a rock or whatever that's supposed to be. That just kind of looks like some lazy shading meant to be some filler, and I think he could have took a little bit of time, planned it out a little bit better, and you would have got some better texture to make it a little bit more obvious as to what it's supposed to be. I wanted to show you guys what I'm talking about in his older work. Like, this is something where I don't see those line errors here. I don't see those at all. I don't see any patchy coloring or dark shading. He used multiple tones of green on these leaves. It looks like he took his time. So this is a great example of his work, and I don't understand why the rest of his work doesn't look like this. But ultimately, I know he can do a good job, but then you come to something like this. This was something very recent. This is a pretty large sleeve piece, you know, with the UFO, and it's supposed to be like a spacescape up in here, and you're supposed to see planets and quasars and stuff. Now, I know it's incomplete, you know, he obviously hasn't colored all of it in, but I can judge what I see, and just judging what I see, this is rough. This does not look like space. This looks very much just like a jumble of colors here, and I think ultimately it comes down to planning. Either the artist is going to take their time and plan something elaborate out for you, the color and all, or they're just going to kind of quickly fill in spaces for you with simple detail. And I think that in Matt's case, this is what we see a lot of. And so ultimately, I got to say, you got to stay disciplined with every tattoo, man. You can't pick and choose which ones you're going to do a good job on and kind of be lazy about the others. It really, really shows in your portfolio. You do know how to do good work, but ultimately right now, I couldn't give him my recommendation. But Chuck, stick around. I found an incredible artist that I want you to bring your son to. Here we go. Alright, here we go. This is for all the people out there in Newcastle, Delaware, having a hard-ass time finding a good, decent tattooer. I feel ya. I searched all over the place. It took me forever to find a good artist. But here he is, Zach Fossett. And he is working out of Legacy Tattoo. Now, they're in Wilmington, Delaware, not too far away at all. You can find them at legacytattoode.com. Also, check out his Instagram at _Gweet_. I don't know what that stands for. Maybe it's his nickname, but he's got an incredible Instagram. Go check it out, guys. Right off the bat, let me show you the difference between Matt's work over here on the left and Zach's work over here on the right. I doubt Chuck's son is going to want to get roses. Maybe he will, but either way, this is just to show you the difference in quality, and it's an incredible difference. Now, you can see, once again, Matt had a ton of line errors, missing lines, all that. But also, just compare the shading here. Just compare how each one of these petals is blended. This one looks absolutely smooth, 3D. It looks like a real rose compared to just a little bit of simple shading from the inside out. And not to mention, he had a lot of these shading errors where the shading didn't come up to the line. And when you compare that with the precision right here, you're not going to see any gaps on the edge of those petals. Just perfect precision. He pays attention to what he's doing, and you can really see the discipline in all his work. Something really intelligent he did here, something that if you're not an artist, you might not even pay attention to or recognize, but just this little black edge that he did on this petal. The reason why that's so intelligent now is because up here, he didn't need it. The background was dark, so he didn't need a dark edge on this edge. But he knew if he didn't put a dark edge on this petal here, that it would blend in with the backdrop here. So just a very intelligent use of when to use a liner, when not to use a liner, when to create an edge. Also, just knowing his light source. He knew that he needed light areas on the edge of these petals, and so therefore he needed a dark edge there because the petal was light in that area. Whereas on the same side, or on the other side with Matt's, he just did a simple outline of each petal, simple shading of each petal. So, again, it just shows the difference between when an artist is going to take their time and give you the quality that you're paying for, versus if they're just kind of getting you in, getting you out, you know, not really giving you much for your money. This one, brilliant piece. Check out that chainmail. Oh my god. That would be a nightmare to do for any artist. But as you'll see as we go, that's sort of Zach's MO, is that small, tight detail. He does a lot of it, and he does it really well. He puts a lot of time and effort into this stuff, and it really shows through. He also does a lot of contrasting where he uses skin breaks, like the top of the hand here. This is intentionally left negative because there's so much dark behind it, so much dark shading around it behind it, that when you really zoom out, you can tell all those contours on his knuckles and everything. Just brilliantly done, really smooth, clean work. And this tiger is another incredible example of what I'm talking about. Look at this when I zoom in. Look at how many of these tight little lines he did in here. That's unbelievable. Can you imagine how long that would take you to do with just a pencil, let alone with a tattoo machine on a moving, breathing human being? You can imagine. That's just an incredible amount of detail. I'm in awe at his work, and it's really his own unique style of realism. Now, you might think, a lot of realism, it all looks the same. It all looks realistic, but in his case, he has his really own unique style, and it's this sort of high contrast, high detail style. Again, he left skin breaks up here so that you really can see those highlights and lowlights of where the light is shining off of that tiger, and it just comes through beautifully, perfect, and it's a very unique style of tattooing. I really enjoyed looking through his portfolio here. The reason I want to show this one is because anybody that's a tattooer that has tattooed different ethnicity skin types, you're going to know this, that tattooing on black folks is a little bit more difficult. It's very easy to chew up the skin or to beat up the skin. It keloids a lot faster than white folks do, or Asian, or even Mexican, but that can cause scarring really fast, really easy. And here is an example of a healed portrait of his. And so you can see he not only did these light grays really well, which is very difficult to do on darker skin, but you don't see any of that keloiding, raised skin, scarring, no overworked skin, no areas where it really scabbed really bad, none of that. And for anybody who's tattooed a significant amount of black folks, you'll understand exactly why that's impressive. Here's another example, not as amazing as the tiger, but still just a beautiful little portrait of a kitty. I love the eyes in this one. He didn't go crazy with the glare effects, he just did these two little white dots in each one, but when you really zoom out, that looks like a super 3D eye. Looks like you could reach out and pet that kitty. And I love that he left space for the whiskers too. He shaded in between each whisker. Instead of taking a lazy route, a lot of artists just kind of shade over the area, and then afterwards they blast white over top of it, hoping it'll look good and hoping, excuse me, that the white will stay there, but it doesn't. So you have to do what he did here. You have to shade around the outside of the whiskers and then do the white highlight, and that's the effect you get. It looks like you can see every single little whisker there. Another amazing Star Wars piece. You get that same feel that from the tiger one that he had, where it's a lot of that, look at his lip here, a lot of that really tight, small detail, that little grit that just makes it look super high definition from a distance. But I can zoom in really far and it still looks crisp. Just incredible to me. I love the outer edge of his cloak here. He could have chose to do that a little bit simpler, but he took the time to really make it look tattered and old and worn out. Looks like he did a great job filling in the solid black here. I don't see a lot of white patches. There might be a few light areas here, but again, I think this is a healed piece, and so it's going to look that dark for the rest of this person's life. And it's just, yeah, it looks very, very clean. No trauma to the skin. This one, of course, I had to show. For all you that don't know what this is from, please leave it in the comments below. But just a brilliant use of white here. In this movie, he was at the swimming pool, I believe, and so he's supposed to have this sort of wet sheen to him, and you can see that glare off of his glasses, his face, even the hairs on the back of his neck. Look at that. That is some incredible attention to detail. Even using white back in the areas where it's shadowed on this side of his face, he used white in there, and you can really tell that he was out in the sun that day, that he had been swimming in the pool. His hair just shows perfectly. I think this one probably took him some time, and it was well worth it to be able to put this in your portfolio and showcase this. I wanted to show off some of his color work too. I think his MO is mostly black and gray, but he did have a lot of incredible color work, and as you can see by the sloth, he does it incredibly well. Even with the color work, again, the amazing attention to small detail. Just perfect round eyes, awesome look of the hair there. It looks like you could reach out and touch it. Yeah, and I just love this blending in the background. Instead of just using one tone of color, simply blend in multiple different tones, so you feel like you're looking at him with forest in the background, multiple different tones of greens, and some seafoam green even in there. Yeah, just brilliant, brilliant use of color too. So ultimately, I would say, Zach Fossett, you are Hack Hunter approved, obviously. Go check him out, guys. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you think of his work. That's it for this episode, but feel free to leave your thoughts on the episode down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of these two artists. Also, if you think you found a hack in your city, or if you just want us to do a review of your tattoo artist, send an email to TheHackHunters@gmail.com, and we might just feature them in next week's episode. But if you just like to watch, that's okay too. just subscribe to the show, click on the bell icon so you get notified when we post a new episode every week. We'll see you all then. Bye-bye.